Today we will be, having the event in two, the directions. The first part will be three presentations that are going to shed light into the businesses on SOHAR and the opportunities that we have. And then we'll have a panel discussion from, some of the leading industries, in SOHAR that can also reflect what kind of, active ecosystem we have in Oman and in SOHAR in particular. Not wasting more time, we'll go first for our first presentation. It will be by Mr. Robert Bartistra. He's the Executive Manager for Commercial in SOHAR Port and Freezone. Robert, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rashad. Thank you very much also for hosting this on by FICCI and Indian Steel Association. And of course, we have a number of clients of our Port and Freezone also in the meeting. Just to check, I've got my slides on. I hope they're there. If not, shout. Great. My name is Robert Bartstra. I'm the commercial manager of the Port and Freezone in SOHAR. It's a 50-50 joint venture between the government of Oman and the Port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. We are located just outside of the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm just getting there. Yeah, we are connected to 85 ports globally. As I said, just outside of the Strait of Hormuz. But we are very close to India. We're just 3 days shipping away. We have 6 weekly services to India. We're also 2 hours flying away, 20 weekly services by flight. We're close to our capital, Muscat, but we're also close to the important places in the rest of the Middle East, close to Dubai, Abu Dhabi. And we now also have a road connection, as well as a sea connection to Saudi Arabia. If we look at the next slide, if I can. Yeah, like I said, we're close to India, and Oman has always been very well connected with India. In 2020, we've had more than $6 billion of trade, and that still continues, of course. We've got more than 4,000 joint ventures, Indian joint ventures in Oman, more than $7.5 billion investment. We have more than 1,300 Indian investments since 2016 in the last 5 years. So we're just seeing a lot of Indian Omani connections. And in terms of SOHAR, how are we set up? Well, we have a port and a free zone, and we're quite unique in the region actually, because our port and free zone is integrated, which means we have one single management working the port as well as the free zone. The businesses are not too different in the port and the free zone. We have metals both in the port as well as in the free zone. Currently, we have a big metal cluster, and our connection between the port and free zone is just 14 minutes. We have a bonded corridor, so it's very easy to basically manage both entities. We have some advantages that I want to share with you, and by all means, call us back later if some of them are all unclear. I mean, Oman is in terms of location a very stable environment to invest. It has always been. It's called the Middle East of Switzerland of the Middle East, which is not because we have mountains, but basically because Oman is often very neutral, plays a mediating role in many activities. It's well connected, as I said before, and we also have quite some raw materials, and my colleague Mohammed will mention that a little bit later. In our port and our free zone, we pride ourselves that we want to make business easy. We have a one-stop shop service. So basically you come to us and we'll just arrange everything, licenses, fees, etc. What's also quite interesting is that Oman has a free trade agreement with Singapore, but also with the US, and also some special arrangement with Europe. That can be very interesting for certain trades. We're set up in the port in industrial clusters. So one of our clusters is a metals cluster. We also have a food cluster, we have a logistics cluster, we have a petrochemical cluster. We have quite good access to electricity and gas. Oman is a big gas producer, so we pride ourselves that we can actually deliver gas to customers that really need it. Having said that, we are trying to also move away from the old energy supplies, the oil and gas, and move into cleaner energies like solar. I'll mention that in a second as well. I think I've got a slide on that, quick one. We are a deep sea terminal. We have draft up to 25 meters. We are operated by international operators. Several are now on the call and we'll talk to you about that. Like I said, utilities, which is quite important, I think, for the metals industry as well. We have water, we have natural gas, we have power, stable power, I should say. But we're also moving into solar. We've got the first 25 megawatt plant in place already. And we're also looking at green hydrogen solutions. And I know for metals, steel and metals, that can be quite important as well. I've noticed that some of the steel customers, if you like, not our customers, but the steel customers, the end users, are now starting to ask for green steel as well. So if we are able to provide green hydrogen, then that will be also advantageous, I think, for the steel and metal industry. We've got basically companies in our metals cluster that represent the whole value chain, I should say. I mean, we have iron ore production, DRI, HBI, scrap, steel billets. We also have downstream work going on. But I'm not the specialist in that area, and I'm sure the audience knows more about this. But what I wanted to say is that we have one of our companies, actually not represented in this call, but it's Vale from Brazil, and they use SOHAR as a hub. So what they do is they ship their iron ore pellets, their iron ore by vessel, the biggest vessels in the world, 400,000 tons. They ship their ore, iron ore, to SOHAR. There they make pellets of it, and then they process that and distribute that in the region. So they use SOHAR as a hub, and I think that's a very good example of how SOHAR can provide advantage and add value to the business. In the port, like I said, we have a draft up to 25 meters. We have 25 berths and expanding. Actually, we're building a few more in the coming years. We can handle quite large ships, 14,000 TEUs. Actually, 20,000 we can handle as well. We've just had, this week we had a 17,000 vessel coming in. We're doing almost 70 million tons of cargo each year and growing. We're growing about 5% year on year. And that also means our number of vessels is growing. We're doing more than 3,000. We have 3 common terminals where customers basically come in and use the services. We have containers done by Hutchison Ports from Hong Kong. Liquids is handled by oil tanking from Germany. And anything that doesn't go in a container or is not liquid is handled by C. Steinweg in their boat terminal. They're from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And actually we have the commercial manager from Steinweg here to discuss Steinweg and their services a bit more in a few minutes. The free zone, I mean, the free zone benefits. You basically have 100% foreign ownership, up to 25 years of tax holiday for corporate tax, no personal income tax. So, and there's a few more, but it is successful. It's working. We've phased out. We've leased out 500 hectares now in phase 1, and we're getting the next phases ready for development. So we have another 700 hectares ready, and already some of our new customers are building there. like was mentioned a little bit earlier, Indian connections, they're abundant in Oman and in Sohar. I mean, 1/3 of the total companies with us is Indian or from Indian origin. 2/3 of the employees are Indian. We have more than $670 million of investment, and almost 60% of the metals cluster is managed by Indian companies. Just a few examples here. We have also textiles, by the way, by FICCI, but we have Jindal Shadid, and they're also represented here today. Altamont Insil also represented here today. Salvira doing petcoke. Gulf Alloys doing ferrochrome also. So we've got quite a number of Indian companies already established, and yeah, anybody interested should, of course, contact us, but can also talk to representatives from these companies. Culture, therefore, in Oman is very much focused on India as well. We even had, it's not just the food, we even had the cricket doing some World Cup games here. So yeah, that's where I would like to leave it. I'd like to pass it on now to my colleague Mohammed, who is going to talk a little bit more about the metals that we have.
Thanks, Robert. I think it was quite an informative presentation. Mohammed will shed lights more on other areas regarding SOHAR Port and Freezone. And then we'll have Martin Oakwork. He's the head of commercial also in Stanwell. First, I will move to Mohammed. So Mohammed, floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Rashad. First of all, is the screen clear? All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar. My name is Mohammed Al-Kindi, and I am a commercial officer with SOHAR Port and Freezone. My presentation will mainly focus on identifying the business opportunities related to the metal sector that we think is currently viable for SOHAR Port and Freezone. So a quick introduction. First of all, I'm going to highlight some of the global and regional trends within the mining sector. Next, I'm going to move on to showing you guys some of the mineral reserves that are available throughout Oman. We'll move on to successful projects in Sohar, give you some examples, as well as what types of products they are currently manufacturing. And at the end, I'm going to identify some downstream opportunities based on those projects that we have and based on the reserves that are currently available in Oman. So in terms of global trends, overall, the mining industry is trying to move towards efficiency by introducing artificial intelligence to mining activities. In addition, there are many new rules and regulations that are being introduced in the industry, and those are mainly focused on limiting the environmental waste that is being currently done from those mining activities. Overall, the industry is trying to become more automatic, trying to become more environmentally friendly, and overall, they are moving towards efficient extraction of minerals from the mines. In terms of regional trends, or what is currently happening in Oman related to the minerals. So we have Minerals Development Oman, or we can call it MDO. This is a government initiative that was started in 2016. Its single aim is to develop the mining sector in Oman in order to diversify the Omani economy. As most of you guys know, Oman is an oil based economy, and oil will not be here forever. So this is one of the ideas to diversify the economy. In terms of the objectives of MDO, they are mainly interested in supporting large-scale commercial mining activities. They are interested in supporting large-scale also businesses. They want to develop a mining-related infrastructure, logistics infrastructure. They are also looking to establish global partnership with global players, and they are promoting downstream opportunities that are currently available in Oman, which were not being promoted before. In terms of reserves, so I have picked 6 types of minerals. As you can see, the highest numbers are for limestone and marble with 24 billion tons and 1.5 billion tons respectively. Also, we have copper and chromite, laterite, and manganese. So next is some examples of established projects that are currently in the port and free zone. So the first company is Vale. Vale is a Brazilian company that has established its presence in the region in 2007. They started by opening a marketing office for their products in Brazil, which are mainly iron related. After that, they have started a factory or a manufacturing plant for iron pellets. This started operations in 2011, and currently Vale is the largest importer of iron ore in Oman, and they have a production capacity of 9 million tons per annum for iron pellets. The next is Jindal Shadid. So Jindal Shadid is an Indian company that joined SOHAR in 2010. They established a steel production plant with an annual production capacity of over 2.4 million tons. Their main product range includes HPI, square billets, round billets, and reinforced steel bars. So based on the reserves and the current companies that we have, I will focus on 3 main opportunities that we see as a downstream opportunity from those activities that we currently have. Those opportunities are stainless steel, which is a downstream of iron and chromium, copper, which is basically processing the copper ores into copper ingots and further downstream applications, aluminium, which is basically the same, downstream from aluminium ingots. In terms of stainless steel, Vale and the Tamman can be the suppliers of the raw material. As we mentioned before, iron ore is already being imported by Vale, processed into iron pellets, and then distributed to the region of the Middle East. In terms of ferrochrome, we have a company in the free zone called the Tamman, and also we have a representative here with us today. So they have a production capacity of 75,000 tons per annum of ferrochrome. In addition, chromium and iron mines are also available. Like we mentioned, chromium reserves are estimated to be 2.5 million tons. In terms of iron ore, around 4 million tons of iron ore is being exported from Oman. Now, when it comes to those 4 million tons, some of them are from the Omani mines, and some of them are again being re-exported by Vale to the region. Lastly, I want to highlight that currently there is no stainless steel manufacturer in Oman. However, the country still has a demand of around 500,000 tons of stainless steel products. Which are being imported on an annual basis to Oman. Next is copper. So the copper mines in Oman have an estimated reserve of around 26 million tons. Those mines are mainly located within the same region of Sohar, which is called Al-Batina. Another region where copper mines are also available is the region of Dhofar, or most of you guys will probably know as Salalah. Previously, those extractions of ore were being exported. However, in 2018, copper ore exports have stopped. The idea being that instead of exporting those ores, they should be processed further in order to increase the value and also to stimulate opportunities for downstream products of copper. Downstream opportunities are mainly copper ingots, copper wires, along with other examples. Also, the last point for copper, there is also an opportunity to start a copper concentration plant, which is basically you would get the copper ores from the mines, increase the concentration of copper within those ores, and then resell the ores, re-export them or resell them to local buyers. The last opportunity is aluminium. So aluminium is produced through the company of SOHAR Aluminium, which is located in SOHAR Industrial Estate. So SOHAR Aluminium has a production capacity of around 400,000 tons per annum. Their product range includes aluminium ingots and aluminium saws. These are aluminiums that are formed in solid state. Also, they have the potential to manufacture aluminium in liquid hot metal forms. In terms of downstream opportunities, mainly ingots and saws have multiple downstream applications related to the transport sector, to the packaging sector, to the construction, and to the machinery. For example, in terms of transport, automotive car parts, car wheels. In terms of packages, you have soda cans. In terms of construction, the oil and gas industries require structures made of aluminium. The last point going to highlight for the presentation is the free trade agreements that Oman has with the world. So Oman has one bilateral free trade agreement, and that is between Oman and the USA. It has 4 multilateral agreements, free trade agreements, and these are with the European Free Trade Agreement, the General Arab Free Trade Area, and the Singapore Free Trade Agreement. Now, in terms of the US Free Trade Agreement, this is a very good opportunity, especially now for companies who are looking to export to the USA, mainly because of the tariffs that the USA have imposed on China. So the US is constantly looking for a new source of products. Also, we are glad to tell you that almost 50% of our tenants in the port and the free zone are currently utilizing this free trade agreement. And if you guys need any further advice on, for example, how to analyze your product and to see if it is actually within the rules of the free trade agreement, or you need some advice regarding the procedures of utilizing the agreement, we have a special free trade agreement advisor who is currently in the chat by the name of Emi Han. So if you guys have any questions regarding that, please feel free to ask in the Q&A section. So in conclusion, we have already established a message that Oman has an abundance of metal deposits ready to be mined and processed. Point number 2 is that SOHAR already has an established and developed metals cluster, and there are multiple opportunities to join this sector and to develop downstream opportunities based on the upstream activities that we currently have. And yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you guys very much for your attention.
Thanks, Mohammed, for your presentation. Now, I just want to highlight again that, I mean, if you have any kind of question for one of our panelists or even the presenters here, we have the Q&A section where you can post your question, and maybe the team will be, answering the questions directly, or we'll be mentioning them here at the dialogue that we have. Our third presentation will be by Mr. Martin Aurquark. He's the head of commercial department in Stanwich, Oman, Stanwich, Oman. Stanwich is one of the main terminals that we have in SOHAR Port and Freezone. Martin, the floor is yours to shed light more on the opportunities and business opportunities that Stanwich has. Go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Rashad. Just a quick check also, you see my screen properly?
We are seeing the note section. If you can, readjust it again once more, please.
Is this better?
No.
I didn't change anything, so.
Try the third option. Yep.
This should be it, right?
Yep. Great. Thanks. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you, Rashad, and good morning, everybody. My name is Martin Aurquark. I'm the commercial manager at Steinweg Oman, which has already been mentioned. Steinweg is the general cargo terminal in SOHAR Port. So we are handling a lot of different types of cargo, which are also interesting for clients in the metal segment. And that's what I will be presenting today. First, a little bit of background. Steinweg Oman is part of Steinweg, which has its headquarters in Rotterdam. And we were founded a long time ago as a logistics service provider, actually in 1847. And for people that can calculate really quick, that means that this year we are celebrating our 175th birthday, which is a huge accomplishment. We're very proud and happy with that. We have over 100 locations worldwide. Usually we have our operations close to our customers. And our main activities are forwarding, warehousing, and terminal operations. And in SOHAR, actually, we have the single biggest entity within the Steinweg portfolio. We have a very big terminal, stevedoring terminal, but we also operate a warehouse, which I will come back to later on. We have a warehousing and terminal operating systems, so IT systems, state of the art. So everything of our operation is registered digitally and can be exchanged to our clients very easily, sometimes via direct portals or online connections. And we handle a lot of cargoes, amongst others, base metals, minor metals, precious metals. We handle steel and ferroalloys. And very important, Steinweg has a reputation, a good reputation worldwide when it comes to being a custodian of cargoes. And that helps in facilitating trade. So we're recognized by producers of metals, off-takers or buyers, by traders and by bankers. And let me explain, it's important when a buyer from one part of the world wants to sell its cargo to, when a seller wants to sell his cargo to a party on the other side of the world, that the buyer knows for sure that the cargo is there, and if he or his bank pays a lot of money, that he actually gets the cargo. So Steinweg can facilitate that. They can provide a holding confirmation stating that we have cargo in our warehouse, that we will not move it by any chance. Other than that, we get official instructions which are agreed between buyer and seller. And this gives comfort to the buyer and to the buyer's bank to send the money, which is huge, which is usually a lot of money, to facilitate the trade. The seller receives the money, and then we can send the cargo. And this is a huge KPI for us. So here you see an overview. The darker parts of the world map are where Steinweg is located, and we're growing every year. And as I said, some locations have just a forwarding office, and some locations have several terminals, several warehouses. So Steinweg in Oman, we were established in SOHAR Port early 2004, and we actually we leased plot number 1. So we were the first tenant in the port. And Robert explained the port has been growing ever since. By now, the port is doing 70 million tons. in a little bit more than 15 years. And we grew along with the port. We're operational 24/7, 365. That simply means we work every day if necessary, also on Fridays and weekends and on national holidays. We are ISPS certified. We have security walking around 24/7. We have security gates within the port, which also has its own security regime. Oman is a very safe country. On top of that, we have CCTV because we understand that some of the cargoes that are stored at our facility, either outside or inside our warehouse, have a very high value, and that security is of big importance to our clients, as well as confidentiality, which is another thing that we take very serious. We have an outside area, or a total area, of about 48 hectares and looking to expand this. And we have a draft at our quays of 16 meters, and we actually have 4 berths. So we can berth 4 vessels, but we have a neighbor where we can use the berth of, berth number 8. That means that we have access to 5 berths. So in principle, we can facilitate load or discharge 5 vessels, which we're actually doing today, if I look outside. On top of that, we have a covered warehouse of 5,000 square meters, which is relatively small if you compare it to the warehouses that Steinweg operates worldwide. But it's also because of the beneficial climate. It doesn't rain a lot in Oman, and a lot of clients are okay when the cargo is stored outside. And over the years, we've been serving many clients in and around SOHAR. Not only in and around SOHAR, also up to the Muscat area or even further. And a large part of that, as Robert says, is our Indian clients or clients with Indian shareholders. So where are we located in the port? The light blue area is where Steinweg is. You see the 4 berths, and on the left side of that, we can also use the 5th berth. So centrally within the port, this is only the port area. You have a free zone right behind it, and there's a bonded corridor between port and free zone. So we can receive cargo in bonded status, transport it to the free zone in bonded status, where it still remains in bonded status, which can be of huge value for clients. So very quickly, we own a huge fleet of equipment, all kinds of equipment with all kinds of capacities, forklifts. We have 7 mobile harbor cranes. We are just commissioning a new mobile harbor crane, which we got last week, which is boosting our efficiency. And a lot of other equipment, and it's all maintained and operated by ourselves. So we make sure that the quality is high, and we can reach very high efficiencies, because we understand in logistics, time is money. And in the end, we want to facilitate our clients as fast as possible, and at the same time, safe and damage-free. So what do we handle? I just mentioned it already a little bit, but everything in between containers and liquid bulk, we handle as a stevedore. That doesn't mean we do not that we don't do anything with containers. We also stuff and strip a lot of the containers for our clients. But if the containers have to go on a vessel, in principle, that's done by another terminal called Hutchinson here in the port. But on a daily basis, we handle a lot of containers. So what do we do, which is interesting for your segment, that is dry bulk? We handle a lot of minerals. Last year, about 15 to 16 million tons. Industrial feedstock. We handle scrap, metal scrap, HBI, all kinds of additives, interesting for the metal industry. We usually do that with mobile cranes because the quantities are very big. A bulker vessel comes to our quay, and we put several cranes on it. I will show you a picture later on. We handle break bulk, a lot of steel, rebar, billets, wire rods, coils. We handle timber, that's interesting for you. And we handle a lot of big bags, and usually the big bags contain, sometimes they contain cargo, which is interesting for the metal industry, like additives, ferroalloys. We handle non-ferro metals, like aluminium. We handle minor or precious metals, as I mentioned before. And we handle project and heavy lift cargo, which might be interesting for you if you develop your project. almost all the plants that are developed here, they have at a certain moment when they were developed, they needed large pieces, out of gouge pieces, and we are the terminal handling these. And on top of that, we have a warehouse, and we provide forwarding. We can provide the transport. We have our own trailers. We have preferred suppliers that provide reliable transport. And CFS, so container freight station, as I mentioned before, we can stuff and strip containers for our clients. So a quick overview of some of the pieces. This is a very large piece when parties were building their plant in SOHAR. This is an image of us discharging dry bulk from a bulk carrier. The big bags, this was in our warehouse, but we also store and handle big bags outside of the warehouse. And this was wire rods, so we're loading or discharging a lot of metal products as well, steel products actually. Yeah, and aluminium. Steinweg Worldwide is very experienced in handling aluminium, both in stuffing containers or stripping from containers or loading into vessels in break bulk. Then our warehouse is bonded, so it has a fiscal regime. That means that you can bring your cargo without officially importing it into Oman yet, and you can decide later if you reship it out or you actually import it into Oman, or you bring it to the free zone under a bonded regime via the bonded corridor. So it's a covered warehouse. It has a firewall in between, so it's 2 compartments, and it has a sprinkler system and CCTV. It's 5,000 square meters, and we have expansion possibilities. And we usually combine that with our container freight station. That means that we collect full containers from the container terminal, we bring them here, we strip the containers from cargo, and we bring the container back to the container terminal to prevent any detention or demurrage on the containers. Or the other way around, we collect empties, we bring them to us, we stuff them, and we bring them back to provide an efficient service to our clients. We have a lot of added value activities. We can do rebagging, we do labeling, we do weighing, we can assist with booking sea freight. And as mentioned before, we provide assistance with ownership releases. So a lot of our clients sell cargo in our warehouse to another party, and from then on we are working for the new owner of the cargo, and we can do that by ownership releases within the warehouse or exchanges of bills of ladings when the cargo is already on its way. So to summarize, I believe, just like my predecessors, Robert and Mohammed, there's a lot of opportunities in Oman. And we're in SOHAR, we offer a deep sea port and a free zone combined, which is managed by a world-class port manager, SIPC, and they're using the renowned landlord model. There are terminals operated by globally very experienced terminal operators, not only Steinweg, which is globally present, but also Hutchison, which is a very known container terminal, of course. There's a lot of feedstock availability, as Mohammed already explained. Copper ore, copper concentrate, we've handled that before. We see that the mines are being developed, and we foresee that we are going to handle this again. We can also handle the downstream products. Not only copper, aluminium, chromium, we also see a lot of limestone developments, which are interesting. And if you cannot source it from Oman or only partly source it from inland, you can always source it from overseas as well. As I explained, we can discharge the vessels in a very efficient way. We can load vessels in a very efficient way. Last year, we achieved a record of loading 100,000 metric ton within 24 hours. And with our new crane, we can top that record. And then there's world-class logistics. Steinweg, we are a very experienced global player, very experienced in the metal segment and recognized by the buyers, the traders, and the banks. We are able to support you with feedstock or finished goods, or even with facilitating your trade, so selling the cargo to your buyers in a way that you can receive your money very quickly. We can achieve very high productivities and provide you a very cost-efficient logistics on a 24/7 basis, 365 days a year, reducing your costs. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We put a lot of effort in training our staff to make sure that they're skilled and that cargoes are handled in a safe way. So we're known for having very, very low records of damages when we handle them. And we provide 24/7 security and we have confidentiality. We take that very serious. And within the metal segment, it's usually very interesting that we can offer bonded warehousing. And we can combine that with efficient outbound container logistics or break bulk logistics, whatever is preferred. So I want to thank you for your attention. That was my part.
Thanks, Martin. A fruitful and so informative presentation, and I think we'll receive a little bit of questions that we can direct to everyone now. Now we'll move to our panel discussion. In the panel we have some of the leading industries, not only in Oman and in the region, but I can say worldwide, and some of the big names that we have here in SOHAR. So we'll have Ataman Ansel Ferrochrome. We'll have Mr. Anindya Das, he's the financial controller. From SOHAR Aluminium, we'll have Mr. Jason Modili, he's the supply chain management manager. And from Jindal Shadid, we have Mr. Sunil Kumar, he's the chief marketing officer. We'll give 2 minutes, so each of the gentlemen can represent, give a brief about his company and the business that they are doing. We'll start first with Mr. Anindya Das from Ataman Ansel. Mr. Anindya. Can you turn on the mic, Mr. Das?
Thank you, everyone. Good morning to my Oman guest and good afternoon to Indian guests. We, the Ataman Ansel Ferrochrome LLC, is one of the first company to set up business in SOHAR Freezone. It's a joint venture between Indian group called Ansel Group. They are into ferroalloy business for quite some time and supplying to both Indian and overseas producers of steel and stainless steel, and Muscat Overseas Group of Oman, which is a very well-known group in Oman, having diverse areas of operation into trading, into real estate, financing, banking, insurance, and many others. We are the first ferrochrome smelter in Oman, and also we are the first. Also, we are one of the leading producer of ferrochrome in the Middle East, and the plant was envisaged in 2011. 2011, we signed an agreement with SOHAR Freezone, and from 2012 we started constructing the plant. 2013, the first furnace was lit up, but the commercial production started from early 2014. We have a facility with 2 furnaces of 24 MVA each. We can produce with up to 75,000 ton of high carbon ferrochrome, and along with this facility, we have a briquetting plant where we use the chrome fines and chrome chips for making into briquette and using in our production process. And our technology is a demonstration of Indian engineering excellence in Oman and Middle East, because 90 to 95% of our equipments are sourced from India, and it was set up with the Indian technology. And we also recently set up we also have entered into an agreement with Shell, and on a build, own, operate and transfer basis, we have set up a 24 megawatt solar power plant, which is catering to the 25 to 30% of our energy. And we are not only the first in Oman to use solar power in manufacturing sector, but even as far as our knowledge goes, we are the first in ferroalloy business to use solar power. We are supplying all over the world to Japan, China, Korea, Taiwan, India, even India, where there are many ferrochrome plants, and one of the leading producer of ferrochrome in the world. We have supplied to India. We are supplying to Europe, USA. We have well-known customers like POSCO, Merubeni, even Jindal Steel, Singsang, Hanwha, and all those things. And we have an expansion plan in place, and we are very happy with the support being provided in SOHAR and all the facilities being provided in SOHAR Freezone. We are planning to expand, and going forward, we want to invest more in Oman. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Das. We'll move now to SOHAR Aluminium. Mr. Jason.
Yes, good day, everybody. So it gives me a pleasure today to just talk about SOHAR Aluminium, the company that's located in Oman, and it's been in operations now for almost 15 years. So as I said, we're located in the SOHAR industrial area, which is very close to the free zone. And we actually have facilities within the SOHAR Port area, which includes a power plant and a dedicated port facility for the import of our raw materials. So our shareholders are locally represented with OQ, which owns 40% of the company. Regionally, we have Taha from Abu Dhabi, which is a further 40%. And then Rio Tinto, the Global Mining Group, which owns 20% and is also our technology partner in the smelter. So since our commercial operations almost 15 years ago now, our vision to maximize shareholder and social value by responsible and sustainable operation has been continued, and we do that successfully even today. We are around 400,000 tons of production. And we've, over the last few years, we've moved that from starting at about 360,000 tons and close to 400,000 tons recently. We're quite proud of the fact that most of our employees, we have around 1,000 permanent employees, but most of those employees, around 78%, are Omani. And a large proportion of that is from the local area, from North Al-Batana. So that's good information for companies considering investment. That there's a lot of people that have been upskilled over the last few years through investments such as SOHAR Aluminium. Currently, we produce hot metal, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And we produce ingots and salves, which are for the export market. Currently, our customers, in terms of the hot metal offtake, is we have 4 downstream customers where we have a commitment for about 60% of our production to flow in hot metal format. And these downstream customers, obviously being based right, very close to the smelter, continues the opportunity to create value within Oman's economy. The remaining production from the smelter goes out in solid form, and that gets exported to many parts of the world via our technology partner and shareholder Rio Tinto, mainly into Southeast Asia, but we also export regionally into the UAE. We are quite active in terms of community outreach and a significant investment in most sustainable projects. We pride ourselves in doing that for the community. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Jason. We'll move now to Jindal Shadid and Mr. Sunil Kumar.
Yeah, good afternoon and good morning to my guests. I will just walk you through our journey, Jindal Shadid's journey for about 12 years in SOHAR. I think the journey started sometime in July 2010 with the acquisition of Shadid Iron and Steel Company. We have since then significantly grown the company. We installed the TR plant in 2010, just after the acquisition. And in 2014, we installed the steel making plant, which is now operating at full capacity. In 2016, we installed a 1.4 million ton rebar rolling mill, which also is currently operating at full capacity. And I'm happy to say that in March 21, we achieved the highest production volumes, and we are well on course to break that again this year. So in terms of our capacity currently, we produce direct reduced iron, 1.8 million tons, which is exclusively for internal use. We produce steel of about 2.4 million tons, of which about 1.4 million tons is in the form of rebars. In terms of our sales, we are about 35% local. When I say local, GCC, mainly UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and about 65% export. And our export ranges from Australia to China, Hong Kong, Singapore, to Europe and Canada. So we are practically exporting all over the world. And I think that's one of the primary advantages we have, being based at the port. We have our own jetty of about 600 meters long, which can accommodate around 3 ships at a time. And in terms of cargo movement, we handle close to about 4.5 million tons, of which about 3 million tons is incoming raw materials and about 1.4 million tons of export cargo. So yeah, that's us. And currently, we hope to achieve this year a turnover of about $1.5 billion, which also would be a record for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Sanil. Now, I will start even with you. And speaking about Jindal, it's a real success story. I mean, what happened with Jindal here in Oman. As you are, I mean, also, there is a lot of demand for the product that you have, I mean, worldwide, not only within the region itself. Can you explain more, I mean, how Jindal has benefited from the location in Oman and the way that you are doing the business, and I mean, enriching and I mean, going through the journey that you have explained about a bit?
Yeah, I think if I have to come to the reason why we were successful in SOHAR, I think the first, of course, the prime reason we are there is because of the natural gas availability and the power availability, which I think Robert mentioned in his opening remarks. The second most important feature, the reason for our success has been the jetty and the availability of our own jetty, which allows us to efficiently export all over the world. And this has been extremely important, particularly in the last 2 years with the COVID situation, where we had very relatively low demand in the local markets, but this then allowed us to access markets worldwide for our products. And as I said, we are currently sitting at around 65% of our product being exported through the jetty and about 35% being sold locally. I must also highlight the location advantage that we have. I mentioned we have our own jetty, which are able to access most of the international markets, but we are also next to the highway, which connects Muscat, Dubai, and the rest of GCC. So we're able to access up to Riyadh or Dammam by road. Of course, Dubai, we ship regularly by road, as well as the other GCC countries. So the location is an amazing advantage that we have in order to access the GCC market and also the international market. Of course, gas I mentioned. Gas is the main reason why we are there. We use gas to reduce steel or produce steel from DRI. And this, of course, is the significant advantage that we have. And this is also what's driving our future expansion plans. So as I mentioned, we are at 2.4 million tons, but we have an ambition to move to possibly 3.5 million tons with the addition of also flat rolling steel capability in the future.
Thanks, Sunil. We'll come back to you later on. My second question will be for Jason. Now, Jason, you spoke about SOHAR Aluminium in the introduction, and I believe that SOHAR has been playing a vital role in the aim of Oman of diversifying the economy, and also playing a role in the growing of the economy of Oman. Can you also, from the other side, elaborate on the downstream opportunities that SOHAR Aluminium has, or aiming to work in?
Sure, thanks, Rashad. So, the success that SOHAR Aluminium was in one of the initial projects to diversify Oman's economy has resulted in also a successful downstream cluster. So currently we have 4 downstream companies, and I'll just go briefly to what they are. The first one was a wire rod producer, aluminium wire rod producer called WAPL. Shortly thereafter, a aluminium rolling mill called OWAC was established, and it's quite a large facility. It's nameplate capacity upwards of 160,000 tons per annum. At the same time, you also have a company called Oman Aluminium Cast, which produces, amongst other things, bus bars and small slabs that can be then converted into aeronautical components. And our last downstream customer, which is quite recent, in fact, they in the process of final commissioning and entering into commercial operation, is Synergy Casting, which is closely connected, has a close contact with Synergies India, that produces alloy wheels, mainly, I want to say, for the US market. So the companies itself are well established right now, and have contributed to just expanding the aluminium cluster from not just primary aluminium production, but also now to value-added production downstream. And I think therein lies the opportunities for future investors from India and other parts of the world looking at the SOHAR free zone and the industrial area and port, is to consider not just the use of primary aluminium in terms of utilizing ingots and sows, but also the downstream of downstream. A majority of the aluminium products, either the primary aluminium or indeed material from the rolling mill or wire rod producer, busbar producer, is going to be exported, and into many parts of the world. The US takes a large chunk, but quite a bit goes to Southeast Asia and now also into Europe. So opportunities for downstream of downstream, converting these products into semi-fabricated products and then export. I think there's significant opportunities to look at air conditioning panels, components within air conditioning, architectural products, and definitely aeronautical products. The purity that is produced from the primary form is quite high, and manufacturers and subsequent producers can then utilize this high value, high premium material to produce a multitude of aluminium products. And just to support my previous panelists who mentioned the logistics advantage of being located within the industrial area, but also having a port facility, it provides us that opportunity to export to any part of the world successfully and efficiently. We've had, we talked to our other customers who mentioned the success of dealing with SOHAR and its location, specifically to Southeast Asia, paints a very good picture for future investment. The road system as well for exporting to the GCC is also one worth noting, and is well utilized certainly by the aluminium cluster at this point.
Thanks, Jason. Again, we'll come back to you again in some other questions. We'll go now to Mr. Das. Now, Mr. Das, At-Taman Ansel was the first company that got the advantage of using the deposit of the ferrochrome in Oman. And also, I mean, the company got the access into the market, the location, vice versa. I mean, the things that, I mean, has been mentioned by the presenters and the panelists also. Now, from your point of view, where do you see the opportunities of the Indian investors in Oman? I mean, speaking about, I mean, your experience and the Taman incident experience in Oman, I mean, where do you see the opportunities are coming?
If you look at Oman and the present day, Oman is mostly dependent on the oil income, but Oman, as it is it has to change because the oil reserves are limited. So Oman has a plan to diversify, and one of the focus area is to manufacturing sector. And in manufacturing sectors, Indian technology and Indian entrepreneurs can play a big role in setting up the manufacturing facilities in Oman, and especially places like SOHAR and SOHAR Freezone, where the infrastructure is easily available, and other facilities like port and other road connections are there. And also the advantage for Oman for an Indian investor is that the cost of capital in Oman is substantially lower than in India. It is as low as almost the bank interest rates are almost half of what they are paying in India. And also the Indian technology is widely used in Oman. So like, for example, in our factories. So, and in Oman, also there is another focus area is renewable energy. And in renewable energy like solar and the wind power. Now in renewable energy, Indian companies, they can participate in Oman big way, because it's a area where the Oman has got a vision 2040 statement where this is a focus area. And in this respect also, I would rather be happy to share that the 25 megawatt solar power plant which supplies to us has been set up by an Indian company, Wilson and Sterling, and it is being maintained by them also. So there are enough examples of Indian technology and Indian persons working in Oman efficiently. So that leverage can be used by Indian industry for promoting and setting up here.
Thanks, Das. Now, continuing on the same direction also. Now, you have been in the region and in Oman also, I mean, for a long time. And so what kind of advantages that we can see for Indian community to be established here in Oman? Do you feel that, I mean, Oman is a convenient place for the Indian community to be established? I will, give you the space to answer this, and I will also, we'll have the answer then from Mr. Sunil. So Das, you can go first, please.
Yeah. Before taking up this point, another point I would rather like to add from my previous question, that is, in Oman, the energy cost is quite reasonable compared to the world standard and easily available for all the industries to use. Now, coming back to this question, you know, in Oman, the Indian community is there for quite some time, maybe 100, 150 years. So they have established their place in the country and in the society. So there are Indian people who are well mixed up with the local population. They are well respected here and recognized by the Omani people for their hardworking and efficiency. So that way it would be easier for any Indian, be it entrepreneur or be it worker or be it executives, to mix with in the Omani society. And in Oman, there are quite a number of temples, churches available for the Indian population and in almost all the Indian food joints are food, whatever the food choices are available in Oman. So it would be, I feel it would be quite convenient for Indian population and Indian industry to mix up with the Omani people and to join the Oman economy.
Thanks, Mr. Das. Sunil, you want to add into that point also?
Yes, I think most of the panelists, participants, may be aware that both, say, Muscat and Dubai has been jokingly called as the cleanest Indian city, probably, and safest. So there's a significant Indian population. In our own case, in Jindal Shadid, for instance, we employ 850 people, of which about 35% are from India. Most of our customers are either Indian-owned or managed by Indians. There are definitely schools which most of our employees' children go to. The connectivity is absolutely great. If you take SOHAR an example, SOHAR is about 2 hours drive from Dubai International Airport, of course 3 hours drive from Muscat Airport, so you have plenty of choices of connection. I think my previous colleague mentioned about the food options. Yes, all Indian food is available. Most Indian brands are also available here. So that way you don't feel lost at all. And of course it's extremely safe as a place to live.
Thank you. Jason, do you want to add anything in, the society and the culture in Oman in general, and how you do see that, from, your point of view and your experience?
Sure. So having been here for the last almost 15 years, Rashad, I can add to my previous two colleagues to say that, Oman is quite an investment of choice. It provides all the options and ticks all the boxes: safety, security, as well as providing all the options for food for any type of expat, I believe, has gone through. Certainly our company, through SOHAR Aluminium, at a stage we had something like 33 nationalities. We have a large component of Indian workers as well, but have faced no significant issues. And the country itself, in terms of infrastructure, IT, those sort of internet usage and availability, it's all green for us. So quite a good area to live and work in.
Thanks, Jason. We'll give now the floor for the participant if they are interested to ask some any question to our panelists and to our presenters. If anyone is interested, please click the button of raising the hand. From the other side, please, our team is here, so if you have any kind of interest in the business, in doing business in SOHAR, you can leave us also your contact within the chat, by which our team will be happy to get in contact with you to give you more information about the ecosystem and the business establishment in SOHAR. So the floor is open for any question. Okay, I don't see any hand raised up to now, but Robert, do you want to give, any more, elaboration on the way that SOHAR Port and Freezone are, growing and establishing the business and building the relation with different kind of, prospect or investors? Maybe you can speak about the one-stop shop that we have.
Yeah, I could, Rashad. I think I mentioned that we have this one-stop shop facility, which is actually compulsory by the government, which makes it good in a way, because it means that it is quite professional. It tries to deal with all the issues that investors will get into, licenses, company registration. We also have connections with Omani and international banks. So we're trying to basically make life as easy as possible. The only thing we don't do is we don't run your business, because we're not capable of doing that, of course. Yeah, and I mean, I just wanted to say that listening to not just our presentation, but mainly the presentations of our customers who are in this meeting as well, I'm sort of very proud to say that, yeah, we have quite a well-established metals cluster in SOHAR Port and Freezone. It works somehow, you know. Sometimes you have, when we also have some businesses that come in and it doesn't work out for them because it's not the right place or the right business. But for the metals business, I can see that over the past almost 20 years now, we have, yeah, we as our customers have done a very good job in establishing that in the port and the free zone. And I think there's a lot more possible. And I'm quite happy and quite keen that people on the call us later. I mean, the details are there. Call us later, and on a one-on-one basis, we discuss what options there are, what possibilities there are. I mean, it's not just the old-fashioned metals. It's also, like Das said, we're also linked to renewable solutions. We're also looking at recycling solutions. But it's all in the same area, I would think. Same type of knowledge and expertise required.
Thanks, Robert. Again, as Robert has also mentioned, I mean, a few seconds ago, I mean, please share with us any kind of, I mean, information by which we can come back to you, and then by which we can, I mean, give you more details and more information about how you can, I mean, establish and start your business in SOHAR and in Oman in general. I don't see any, I mean, hand is raised, I mean, in the, I mean, platform here. So I would like to thank all the participants here in this event, our attendees, our panelists, and the presenters also for, I mean, the fruitful information that has been shared today. Alok, I will give now you the floor again for the closing.
Thank you, Rashad. I'll request Gautam to close. Gautam da?
Sorry, I was muted. Alok, thanks so much. I think it was a very interesting discussion today, and knowing how some of our Indian origin companies are doing so well in the SOHAR free zone area, and you know, particularly even Alok has visited our Jindal plant there. I think it was in 2018 or so when Alok had gone and met their people along with our former Secretary General. But yes, it was a very interesting webinar. And I would say that, you know, efforts should be made in making such, you know, webinars in future and in various sectors, like the one what you have done today on metals and minerals. I want to thank all the participants, Arnab Hazra and other speakers and presenters. And I know that FICCI is being in the process of organizing such webinars with SOHAR Port and Free Zones. The dialogues I have already started, and with the insights that are going into these webinars, I'm sure several of our Indian companies would be now interested in looking into the opportunities that SOHAR Free Zone is offering in different sectors and industries. We will continue this dialogue, and we will have a couple of more of such webinars in February and March, where we will discuss further on different sectors. And we will inform our members in the days to come. And I look forward to seeing you all again in these forthcoming webinars. Thanks once again to SOHAR Ports and Freezones for collaborating with us. And we can assure our support in conducting these meetings in future as well. Thank you.